happen when Allah Jalla Jalal smiles at a person? One of the companions asked our beloved Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam about the categories of people Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala smiles at. What did our beloved Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told his companion? He says, وَلَوْ ضَحِكَ رَبُّكَ لِعَبْدِي فِي الدُّنْيَا فَلَا حِسَابَ عَلَيْهِ. That's when your Lord, Allah Azza wa Jal, exalted in power, smiles or is happy with you, subhanallah. What does it mean? What did we do to deserve such a reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It is amazing, right? Sometimes you can imagine if someone, subhanallah, like the president of your country, you as a result of something you did, is happy with you, and then he smiles at you. You can imagine the feelings within you. That's just the president of a country, right? If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should be happy or smiles at you, is something that you can imagine. Subhanallah, when I saw this hadith, I was just eager to know who are these categories of people. Subhanallah, these people must be amazing, right? The three categories of people Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala smiles at in this dunya, in this world that we are in. The first person Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about a fighter who goes for war, like a group of believers. They go for war for the sake of Allah. In the battalion, his colleagues run away and leaves him behind. Subhanallah. He fights the enemy alone by himself, subhanallah, whether he is martyred or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants him victory over the world. This is someone Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the angel, see my servant, he is fighting for the sake, and subhanallah, even though his colleague have run away, he still stays to fight for my cause, subhanallah. That alone makes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala happy, and this person happens to be part of the categories of people that put smiles on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's face and makes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala happy. Let's look at the second category of people Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala smiles or he's happy with in this dunya. It's a person, whether a man or a woman, who leaves their comfortable bed, subhanallah, leave their beautiful spouse, be it the man or the woman, just to go and glorify Allah for a small moment. It doesn't necessarily mean the whole night, but just for a small moment glorifying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For the fact that he has left his desires, that is making Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala happy. And of course, Allah smiles at this beautiful person because he has left his desire to come and glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to come and praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to come and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the second category of people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is happy with, and he smiles at them in this world. The third category of people we are going to talk about is a group of people who set to travel, and on the way they are very tired, and so one of them or one among them gets up at night. It's still glorifying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's so beautiful because the person understands that there's nothing in this world that is well deserving of worship, irrespective of whichever condition you find yourself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deserve it, right? The person gets up and still worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that state. These are the categories of people who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala smiles at in this dunya. Now, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should smile at you, right, what is the advantage of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being happy with you, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala smiling at you? وَلَوْ ضَحِكَ رَبُّكَ لِعَبْدِي فِي الدُّنْيَا فَلَا حِسَابَ عَلَيْهِ. These categories of people will not be held accountable on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah. All the horror we hear about the day of Qiyamah, subhanallah, these people will not be affected or grieved by it, right? The terror we hear about Yawm al-Qiyamah, these people will not see like those stuffs. And those people are the categories of people who use the back door to paradise. They will use the back door without any hisab. Fala hisab alayhi. They don't go through any accountability. When other people are struggling on the sirats to get to Jannah, subhanallah, these people are using the back door to paradise. They are using the back door to Jannah. This is the benefits of making Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala happy, and also making Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to smile at whatever actions you do in this world. Let's conclude with the categories of people. The first is a fighter who stays alone even though his battalion ran and left the war, but he stays and fights for the sake of Allah, for the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second is a man or a woman who leave their comfortable bed, leave their beautiful spouse to go and worship, to praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the middle of the night. And the third one is a person among travelers who wakes up even though he is tired, just to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he realized that there's none worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deserves to be praised. These are the categories of people who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala smiles at. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among these categories of people, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us Jannatul Firdaus near our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.